You're probably wondering, how do I protect my company from people who are trying to steal my trademarks or my patents? Or how do I make it right so my company is always protected and my intellectual property has a proper value for my company when I fundraise? So I'm going to discuss with you here today top 5 mistakes how to protect your intellectual property for your company when you are launching an international startup or run an international business. And here with me today, I have Philip, who represents the company iPNOTE, and he is an excellent expert and the person who has a lot of expertise in how to protect your IPs. He will talk about top 5 mistakes and he will share the dashboard how to make it right. And we will have the surprise in the end of this presentation for our community members. So, Philip, great to have you here. And please tell a little bit about yourself and let's start the talk.
A pleasure, Daniel. Thank you. I'm in international business development for quite a number of years. I worked with startups in Singapore, Asia, in Canada, throughout all of Europe, Spain, France, Norway. So I'm quite familiar with general software as a service, the issue of challenges, intellectual property, and so on, globally, you might say, on 3 continents. And we have gathered together to open this company that provides international access to registration of intellectual property, trademarking, patenting, filing, etc., globally. And you can do this through locally certified professionals, attorneys, and law firms. This way, you optimize the process, you consult, you understand what you need, how you need it, how to tackle challenges, how to avoid potential issues, and so on. And this is why we're here today, to share with people, especially young entrepreneurs, new startups, and so on from your community, how they can think better, understand the environment, and eliminate potential problems. That's what we can do for them.
Sounds perfect. I know you prepared some slides for us, so look forward to hear from you your presentation. Where are you calling from, so everyone can know? So we are international community, and it's quite interesting that everyone is from.
Yes, I'm currently based in Bulgaria, but I work from Spain. I'm based in Madrid, Spain.
Truly international. All right. So let's see what you got.
Okay, let me share the presentation with you. So as I mentioned, we created this platform, which is your all-in-one, so to say, go-to place. And a little bit about the company. We are more than 15 years on the market. We have been in IP consulting, registration, everything that you can feel related to the intellectual property. And we gathered all of this experience and founded this company to start international platform or international marketplace, where we invite all of the local providers globally. We are currently with providers in more than 135 countries, and end customers from whichever country that need to register practically wherever. We use this to bridge the gap, between the legal firms and IP owners, and to facilitate the process of informational exchange, documents, managing the entire hustle around IP registration, and focus everything in one place. Of course, to reduce the cost and to improve the efficiency. That's the whole idea. And we can start with the top 5 mistakes that people need to know about. Like number 1 is always assign different tasks and different contribution and rights to your team members. Because if you do not clarify all of those details in the agreements, at later stages, you can have issues with some of your employees claiming rights over the things that they were developing in your company or stealing your IP. You can have all kinds of different misinterpretations of the process, which at a later stage, should your product or service go successful, could be potentially very jeopardizing for your business. So the clear idea from this is create agreements, preliminary agreements, that the company or your startup or your business owns all of the IP rights, who is developing what for you, manage all of the data through your official business channels so that you can see when something was assigned, that it was assigned by the company, how it has been progressing, who is sending documents to whom at what stage, how is the sharing of corporate data inside the company. It should be transparent. So always use the official channels, and do not exclude the authors from filing patents. It's important the authors to be in your registration application when filing. However, you need to indicate that those are ownership of the company, under what agreements and so on. This is number one. Number two is also a very common mistake, failing to pay attention to already existing patents and inventions. You need to really pay attention to what exists out there in your market, potentially in the international markets where you want to be present. You need to do your proper research, whether such things have been already patented, whether there are similar inventions that you can infringe potentially. Being a product or a service, it doesn't really matter. This is fairly straightforward. You don't really need to pay to third-party services, because those could get costly. You can use Google Patents. That's entirely accessible online. You can do a very thorough research there and check for similar things. Another thing is for you to really formulate very well what your patent is going to be it a service or a hardware product. And once you formulate this so-called MVP, the most valuable proposition of product, you need to be sure that this is going to be more or less the final functional stage of the design. There aren't going to be a lot of modifications, because they can already stray away from your initial patent. And if you file this patent and earn it later on, it might turn out that your product or service is already so different that it doesn't fall under the coverage of this patent. So do a patentability search on this as well, and formulate your ideas clearly beforehand, before you start. Another thing is to always try to perform freedom to operate search before entering a new market. And this is a search whether you can operate there, whether you're not going to infringe anyone else's patents, and so on, what I mentioned earlier. Number three is a very common thing as well. People often first file for patents, and then they formulate all of the details. Always first create your MVP, create your clear idea, do your initial design thinking, create your concepts, test them out, have it a clear functional product or service already that is not going to undergo a lot of changes. And then you can file for patenting, and do this, if possible, as soon as the product or the service has been released. Because very often what happens, what is the risk, is that your patent might not be protected, or, as I mentioned earlier, if it has suffered enough changes, it could no longer fall under this protection, what you have initially certified or filed for. And what the solutions are, you can apply once you already have the clear idea, you have undergone the testing, you have refined the product or service, you know that this is going to be the basic functional foundation, and you're certain that there's not going to be any additional very drastic improvement or changes, modifications. And of course, it's very important to keep in mind to file the patent application no later than 6 months after the official release, because there is this thing that after 6 months, it can already get archived as information. So the patent offices or someone else, a competitor, for example, can file for annihilating your claim because you didn't register it on time and beforehand. And another thing to keep in mind is failing to keep track of application deadlines. That's very common. A lot of people don't keep track, especially if you have multiple patents. There's a hassle, a bureaucratic hassle with deadlines, with filing, with answer to office actions, with improvements, with renewals that you need to keep in mind. So the basic things, especially for new startups that are about to enter this world of intellectual property, is to keep in mind that you should use this as a guideline. File a PCT application during the initial 12 months after your first application was filed. And then 12 plus 28 months more, no, 12 plus, yes, 28 months, 18 months more, 12 plus 18. Within the first 30 months, try to keep your application for national phase, file an application for national phase. Those guidelines are very important to keep in mind. And if you don't have enough funds at the beginning, which is very often the case with startups and small businesses, you can postpone substantive examination and additional expenses if that's needed when possible. And the last one is always keep in mind that you should, especially if you're planning a big marketing campaign, you should keep in mind before major publications, always make sure that you register your trademarks or patents, because in this industry there are a lot of companies and people out there that keep track of publications, international transitioning of one company to another markets, new ventures and so on. And when they see that there is interesting movement in a specific industry, that potentially one company or a small startup that has growth potential is preparing to go to international markets, they can use their local markets to register your trademark before you, and then they're trying to sell it to you back. Or they can just do it to try to copy your product and so on. So before major publications, since the beginning, keep in mind that it's better to for a peace of mind, so to say, to protect yourself and to file for trademarking. There is this thing in IP: whomever files first, it doesn't matter how many months the process takes. The first one who files is the one with priority. So as long as you have filed and you're waiting for the documents, you should be perfectly fine. And of course, keep in mind in which countries you're going to operate. So file applications in all the main countries where you're going to operate. If it's a matter of budget, choose the main markets, choose the main products or the main services that are important for you. 2 or 3, don't go overboard. And at the beginning, protect those. Later on, you can always add additional ones. That's more or less what the common things and mistakes people do or need to know about, need to keep in their mind. I can give you here some examples for your customers and for your viewers to understand better that intellectual property is not always as expensive as they seem. Internal agreements, for example, to create internal agreements with team members, co-founders, employees, and so on, could be anywhere in the range of $500 per template. Trademark application in most of the main countries, around 250 per country. And usually you don't even need to do a research for trademarking, because trademark registration costs around 250. A research could easily cost you 150, 200. So better just formulate a trademark, file in as many countries as you need, as fast as you can. Software registration, specifically in the United States, around $500 as well. Patent application in local countries, if we're talking about a more complex deep tech, around $5,000. Design application, if we're talking about hardware and physical products, in the range of $500. Of course, those depend on in different markets. The prices vary; they go up and down, but this is a safe average, to put it this way. What is usually the driving cost of intellectual property, and why people are used to the fact that it's very expensive? Because very often it passes through a lot of intermediaries and agents in the process. Say, for example, you're in the US, you want to register a patent in China, you find a local US firm which rarely operates internationally, or they rarely have offices in China unless it's a global law firm conglomerate. Those are very expensive. They're mostly for the bigger players. So you find a small to medium-sized firm. They look for another attorney to connect them to the Chinese attorney. So usually they pass through Europe. They look for other firms that work with China. They find a firm in Europe that is connecting them to the firm in China. Everyone takes around 1,000 in the process. For the end customer from the US to register in China, $3,000. It's overpriced. You are passing through a lot of agents and counterparties, and it's not really efficient. And why usually people pay more than what they actually have to? Because how does the process work? When you don't really know, you don't have contacts in the industry. You go on Google, you do a search. All of us do the same, right? And most of the top results are bigger firms, firms that invest a lot in advertising, in social media, social engine optimization, and so on. And those are usually more expensive, more costly than the rest. Smaller firms don't really have the know-how or the budget to advertise, even though their prices are more competitive. That's how you end up with the most expensive options when you try to search for a company abroad. Locally, it's a bit easier. And very often, we really don't know what we pay for and what we have to budget for. Because we do not know the market prices, we are not really familiar with most of the customers, are not really familiar with the intellectual property industry. They just know that it's expensive, and they have heard all kinds of different legends and city information, word of mouth, so to say. So when they go searching for companies and discuss potential projects, they don't really know how much they're supposed to pay. Are they giving them a good price? They're very often companies provide confusing price lists. They send you different fees and schedules and government fees, and I don't know what per hour. Others provide for you and some lump sum, which sometimes is also quite big. Without any cost breakdowns, transparency, you don't really have a clear idea or view of what's happening and how you can optimize this process. Um, of course, there is another issue that is quite a big concern for most people, and that's reliability, reputability, and trustworthiness. How do you know when you contact a company or legal firm in China whether they're good, reliable, whether they're not going to cheat on you, whether they're not going to take your money and not do the work? Those are always questions that people don't really know how to tackle. And finally, last but not least, it is difficult for startups and young entrepreneurs to clearly formulate what they need, what their requirements are, what they actually need in intellectual property, and how to control the quality of the delivery process. This is where we're helping them all. You can see here a quick example of some of our cases. Clients come to us. Usually, they come to us when they have already had experience with IP, legal firms, and so on. So we have clients. There is this case, for example, in China for a trademark. A legal firm gave them an estimate of 1,000. We did it through our platform and our providers for 250. Patent renewal in Brazil, same thing. 280 official cost. We gave him the best quote for 180. There was this big project for validation in Europe, 25 countries, which was quite a substantial lump sum of 40 plus thousand dollars. We managed to bring it down for them until 29. Another thing, Korea responding to office action, almost half the price from 940 initial quotation by a legal firm. We brought it down to 498. And software registration in the US, the same story, almost from 1,000 to 500. So as you can see, it's very easy to reduce the price and to find cost-efficient solutions. You just need to know the market, where you need to go, and what you need to do. And how we do it. We have created our platform. You can see here a screenshot of the platform. On the platform, you can do different things. You can assign their type of project. You can request quotations. You can manage the communication with the providers. You can have multiple quotations for the same task, compare prices, and find the most cost-efficient way to approach it. This is more or less the fundamentals of the presentation. Key mistakes, what you should be thinking about, how you should approach those, and so on. I will pass the word forward to Daniel now, and maybe if you'd like, I can share with you some more details, how you can access the platform and what you can do there.
Perfect. Thank you. Great talk, and thanks for summarizing this into these 5 main problems that entrepreneurs are facing. 2 questions, like the quite basic ones, but many might be wondering, like, where do I find other patents before I file my patents, so I can compare what's happening in the industry, and maybe somebody already filed something similar.
There is a dedicated platform for this. It's called Google Patents. You can actually go there, search for all the different patents. It works more or less the same way as the Google search engine. It's showing you there the world database of different patents, and you can access there the information, do a very, very thorough research there.
Yeah, I can tell from my end that I used Google Patents before filing my own patents. And it's a really good platform created by Google, containing all kinds of patents and this massive information. And more importantly, it's free.
That's the best thing.
Yeah.
You have such services, there are companies and experts that we can help you with this as well. It's just going to get more expensive for the end user.
So can you show maybe in a very quick way of your platform, just maybe quick navigation within like a minute or so, and so how your users would be using it if they would decide to go to your company to file patents?
So when you access the platform, you can register there for free. We have different plans, freemium being for everyone. So anyone can come on the platform. Of course, there will be special conditions applied and discounts for your members and for your viewers. When you register there, you can search for, create different tasks, search for providers. Like, for example, you register on the platform, you go to tasks, and you can see here different tasks that you already have. Of course, at the beginning, you don't have any. So you can go to new task. You can create here a new task. Say, for example, we want to file a trademark application in the US. You can type there whatever you would like. Choose filing application, the type, trademark, countries and regions. You can just type United States. Task owner, that would be you. Or it could be your team members as well. You can assign different rights on the platform if you want your team members to use it as well. You create here the initial date, completion date. You can add documents if you have any specific documents. You can click on next step. You can add different description here, commands if you have any. If you don't have, you can just move on. Let's see. I would like to obtain cost efficient quote for trademark filing. Go to next step. Here you can preview all of your information, and then you click on create a task. Once your task has been created, you can check what type of service providers are eligible to perform this task. It's suggesting to you only the ones that are eligible for this region, for this specific type of work, and so on. And as you can see here at the top, you have several providers which are Prime members. This means that they are subscription premium members. You can choose any of those because they are usually the most renowned one, most reputable. Then you have here the sign locally. This means that the person has submitted to us all of the required documentation that they are not an agent, they're not an intermediary legal firm, they are the end local provider. They are certified to do this type of work. And you have additional different ones. You can select as many as you'd like to receive quotations from. The more, the better usually, because you can compare prices, and you click on request offer. Now this goes already to your tasks. On the main page, you can see it here at the top. You can see what the stage is, here the progress bar at the bottom. You can view the offer if you click here, enter directly in the chat, discuss with the different providers within the platform, all of the documents. You have here the messages tab as well if you want to go directly to the communication, all of the documents, all of the different informational details that you exchange. Everything is kept on our servers. Everything is in the platform forever. Nothing is being deleted. You can keep all of your different documentation for the multiple steps in the same place for past projects, for future projects. It's in a way, look at it not just as a marketplace where you can access, initiate communication and receive, obtain IP services. You can also store and monitor the process of the development of all of your IP tasks and IP projects long term. It's very easy, very transparent, and you can communicate there directly with all the providers. So you have all of the information in the same place. You can always go back and check what was discussed, whether something is not right, whether it has been modified, and so on. And when you go to your tasks, you can view all of the different offers, and you can select whichever offer you would like to choose. You have here the information, you have the links, you have everything in the same place. You have also at the top a question mark where you can get additional help, hints, quotes, what to do already for more premium members that have more intellectual property projects per month, per year. We have those paid plans where you have additional benefits, additional discounts. You do not pay any commissions or fees for the first 5 projects, and practically you can benefit from much more details. But that's something that I would recommend over to a startup or a company that is managing a mid to a bigger size portfolio of IP tasks. It wouldn't really make sense for everyone. Now, another thing that you can check is something that is, for example, let's go to messages, and here you see the different offers. We can open whichever company, say, we open, for example, this company. You can go here and see which are the different people participating in the chat, and you can communicate with them directly. You can choose from the tasks. Say, for example, this is the previous task that I created, which we already received offers for. You can view the different offers, and now you see that we have here offers from several companies. This one is 660, this one is 550. Those are Prime members, so we know, and they have good rating. We know that they are active and they're working well and so on. But I see in this particular case that this one is locally certified. So I'm interested in dealing directly with a person that is locally certified and then is the end provider. I can choose those projects and I can confirm with her because she's the direct service provider. I choose why I like it because of the fast and because of the speed of delivery and so on. I confirm the project and now she's already working on it. At the same time, when I confirm the project, I am receiving an email with the invoice, and I can also check the invoice here. When I open the project, I click on download invoice. The invoice is downloading and I can open it. I'm not going to share with you now because we have to exit this view for you to just get a notion of how the process is working. So this is more the basic functionality. I think that there is no point to burden your users with too much info. It's as easy as that. You register on the platform, we get in touch with you. If you have questions, we answer them. You have a project, you just create a new task and you write there what you need and we take care of it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's quite straightforward, simple, and I think what I like is that you don't have to call different lawyers, different firms. It's all in one, like creating a task and like straightforward. So now we're coming to the sweet part, the surprise for the viewers. iPNOTE and the Go Global World became partners not too long ago, and they are providing perks to Go Global World community members. So what is the perk? This is just really sweet. 50% off your first year of their commission, and the first 3 cases are commission free. That's a really sweet one. And the only what you need to be a premium member of Go Global World, and you will receive this kind of perk among other many perks with different firms we have. So Philip, thank you so much for your time, for your explanation. Really valuable. You probably reduced a few gray hairs for people trying to dealing with intellectual property. So if you maybe one final wisdom words for entrepreneurs, and we close the session.
Yes, I would just say do not postpone it and do not delay it. Very often we think I don't need it now. I will focus on the product or on the service. I'll focus on the customers. And by the time you need it, sometimes it's too late. Do not postpone it. It doesn't cost that much. We can help you. There are ways to do it for cheap.
Perfect. And that was Philip Dobrev from iPNOTE. He's a co-founder and chief commercial officer. Well, everyone, please like this video, subscribe, share with your peers, and it probably might help other entrepreneurs. And if you have any questions, you know where to go. Here in the chat, you can ask the questions, and we'll be happy to answer. Maybe we'll connect you with Philip. And if you want to connect with their company, just let us know. We'll connect you directly, and you work with them, and we'll give you the service. And everyone who was watching, I thank you, and have a great the rest of the day.
Great pleasure. All the best, everyone. Thank you.